World Congresses of the APC still causing ripples across several states of the country. We delve more into it and the future of the ruling party. And the Department of State Services, DSS, today brought 8 out of the 12 of Sunday Igbo's 8 arrested at his home in Ibadan to the courtroom. The case has since been adjourned till the 4th of August. Hello everyone, and welcome to Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Seun Okinbaloye in Lagos. It's your one-stop shop for everything politics in Nigeria. So let's get started, everyone. Let's begin by telling you that the Department of State Services has finally obeyed court orders and brought the 8 of Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igbo, to the Federal High Court in Abuja today, but only 8 out of the 12 were present in court today. The 8 were arrested on the 1st of July when DSS officials raided the Yoruba Nation agitators' home, but sued the DSS on grounds that their fundamental human rights were being infringed on. A lawyer to the 8, Pelumi Olagengbesi, claims that his clients have remained underground for weeks. The counsel to the applicants says that he's asking the court to mandate the DSS to produce the last 4 applicants in court at the next adjourned date, which is the 4th of August 2021. Justice Obiora Agwatu had ordered the DSS to produce the 12 8 on July to 29th, but the agency had failed to do so, citing logistic problems. Our focus tonight is politics and perhaps the state of the nation. So tonight, stay with me, everyone. What we started talking about, we'll go back into it. That is the state of affairs of the ruling All Progressives Congress. But let's tell you first about your political roundup stories.
The governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has warned against complacency in the handling of the coronavirus disease in the face of the third wave ravaging the world. At a press briefing today in Lagos, Governor Sanwo-Olu says the positivity rate going from 1.1% at the end of June 2021 to 7% at the end of July 2021 has risen as at the 1st of August 2021 to 8.9%.
Yesterday in particular, we've seen a growth of about 9%. So this has shown that we've seen about 8-fold increase over the recorded figure a month ago.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, Mr. Boss Mustafa, says Nigeria is recording about 500 cases daily since the last 7 days, showing an increased test positivity ratio of about 6% nationally. The PSC says it is equally worried about the increased prevalence of the Delta variant in Lagos, Akwa Ibom, Oyo, Rivers, Ekiti and Kwara State, accounting for the rise in COVID-19 cases in these states and across the nation. He points out that Lagos alone accounts for over 50% of the number of cases. The Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, has visited Yobe State in Nigeria's northeast region. The minister inspected the federal roads being handled by the state government with a promise of reimbursement by the federal government.
The President, Muhammadu Buhari, had committed that he would make some refund. So you know that I think late last year or so, some states got their own. In the first term, some states got their own. So we just received some requests again from some states that they were not considered or that they were omitted. So the President has reconstituted the Presidential Committee which I chair.
The Benue State Governor, Samuel Ortom, has warned all local collaborators of kidnap syndicates that they will face a fate similar to the 3 kidnappers who were killed by the police during the rescue operation of the wife of the Benue State Commissioner for Lands and Survey, Mrs. Anne Unenge, and her driver. The elite squad of Operation Zend of the police in Benue State rescued them in Aga village, a suburb of Makurdi, the state capital. The commissioner's wife and her driver were abducted by gunmen 4 days ago at the Popular Division traffic junction. Governor Ortom says he will not relent in his fight against elements who are out to destabilize his state.
So this is an example to friends of Benue people, if you join hands with criminals to perpetuate evil against our people, one day you will be apprehended. We're not going to relent. And I'm sure the police and other security agencies will not relent. Government will not relent. Because the primary responsibility of every responsible government is to ensure security for lives and property.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us tonight. We continue to say on the APC matter for you on the World Congresses of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Yesterday, we had the leader of the aggrieved group in Lagos, Mr. Jide Adediran of the Lagos for Lagos group, who said the process was hijacked. Tonight, we have the spokesperson of the APC in Lagos, Mr. Shaye Oladejo. He joins me here in our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Oladejo, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
What a member of your party, Jide Adediran, said yesterday was that the process was hijacked. They were not allowed to buy forms in the first instance. And later on, what came up was that they didn't even know what was happening.
Well, I would rather say it's rather unfortunate that Jide Adediran, if truly he remains a member of our party, would say the process was hijacked. The process leading to the World Congress itself was well advertised, the guidelines, what members who were interested in contesting the what offices needed to do. The guidelines were well publicized in the papers. They were supposed to come to the state secretariat of the party to purchase forms. To the best of my knowledge, no one was turned down who wanted to buy forms. And it was rather unfortunate I could go on here and start alleging the state governor hijacked the process and stuff like that. I need to say on national TV that our governor is peculiar to the extent that he's not interfering in any way with party politics.
But what happened, Mr. Oladejo, if you can give us an understanding of what happened? On Saturday morning, the committee came out to say, if you want to buy forms, forms are still available. That's at 9 a.m.
Before Saturday morning, the forms had been on sale for days at the state secretariat of the party. The truth of the matter remains that the group, led by Jide Adediran, decided to compose themselves to the opposition within the ruling party. They refused to identify with the state secretariat of the party because that group actually contested the last Congress. And they said they had their own parallel executive. Abuja definitely would not be dealing with a caucus within the party, would deal with the duly recognized executive of the party at the state level. So the forms were sent to the state. If they refuse to buy the forms at the state secretariat, they only have themselves to blame. This is politics. This is not activism. So it's either you conform. When you belong to a political party, like any other group or association, you must be prepared to conform to certain guidelines and constitutions, as it were. So what they've simply done was to boycott the Congress, to the best of my knowledge, because they refused to buy the forms and follow the guidelines.
All right. So
the World Congress committees were duly constituted. And I also need to say that the committee from Abuja to oversee the Congress in Lagos also held the stakeholders meeting, which everybody attended, where we agreed to a consensus.
Okay, so you agreed to a consensus within the party.
We did agree to a consensus.
The Governor Advisory Council also met, GAC met,
yes,
and they said it's going to be nothing but consensus.
Precisely.
But did all the factions, all the groups, all the different people in the party, because when I say people now in the party, it means that different groups of people within your APC in Lagos, did they agree to that consensus?
Let me put the issue of a consensus in perspectives. There are a lot of misconception here. The very idea of a conception means the aggregation of the opinion, of the position of the large majority of members of the party on a particular issue. Consensus doesn't translate to 100% agreement. It was on air yesterday saying 5, 6, 7 tendencies, and its only tendency was only one agreement. So 6 out of 7 agreed. And let me also say that those who put the guidelines together also anticipated some disagreement at the end of the exercise. So his group could only avail themselves of the opportunity of approaching the appeal committee, set off towards the World Congress, and table their grievances. They still have that window of opportunity.
So, I mean, how many were the committee members who came from
7.
Abuja?
7.
How many wards are there in Lagos?
245.
If other people disagree, because what your constitution, your party constitution says about consensus is, if one out of the different groups disagree on consensus, then you have to revert to practical elections.
For the purpose of this conversation, let's say one disagreed. And the one that disagreed claimed there on the program yesterday that they did not even obtain the form. That means they have no locus.
No, but they said they obtained the forms, they have the receipt of the forms they purchased.
So to the best of our knowledge, they said they were denied the purchase of the form. That can only mean one thing. I'm a politician. It can only mean they printed their own forms. The argument still remains in the public space today, all over social media, that they couldn't get the forms to buy. So if at the end of the day they had forms, that can only mean they got their own forms. And that's some impunity if you ask me.
It's an obvious thing that your party is divided in Lagos, is it?
Not quite. A few people grandstanding, playing the role of the opposition within the ruling party, and that can only lead to some IDPs. Imagine, you want to ask me what IDPs are?
What are they?
Internally displaced politicians. That's how they're going to end up. You just need to conform to certain rules and regulations and constitution of the party.
Does that augur well for your party in Lagos?
Interestingly, as we come down to elections, we always find a way to mend fences, to bring everybody together, to achieve cohesion and forming a common front to win elections. And that's why we're so successful as a party in the state.
Are you worried that these guys may go to court and scuttle perhaps everything you're trying to work on?
Interestingly, if they go to court too, we expect there will be fair hearing, and we also have every right to defend our position. So we're not really worried. We're very confident that we're in the majority. Those who agree to the consensus, we're the majority, and we can sustain this position even in the national space.
Mr. Ladejo, just stay with me for a moment. Let me quickly switch to Abakaliki, where we have one of the leaders of the APC in the southeast, the governor of Ebonyi State, Governor Dave Umahi. He joins us virtually from Abakaliki. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight on the program, and it's good to see you again. Let me take it from what happened on Saturday. There's a lot of trouble in your party across the states of the Federation. From Ekiti, where we heard that reports that one person was killed, to Akwa Ibom, where there were there's issue of violence and attacks on some members of the party. And you were reported to have said you will arrest anyone of dissenting opinion in Ebonyi State.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I never said so, and there is no way I would have said so, because there are bound to be disagreements. But what we wouldn't allow in Ebonyi State is to disobey the party rules and set up any parallel Congress, so to say. We've said we will not allow that in Ebonyi State.
Because you were quoted to have said that if you have anyone in prison, for those who are planning a parallel Congress, is that those who are bringing up violence, or those who just disagree with the issue of consensus?
If that was said, then I was quoted out of context. I actually say that anybody that plans violence should be arrested by the police. And if you also try to stage parallel Congress, you should also be arrested by the police.
Okay, because let me tell you exactly what you were reported to have said. Quote, if you see anybody conducting parallel Congress in Ebonyi State, my directive is that security agencies should arrest anybody that is there, and Ebubeagu should also do the same. Is that correct, what you said?
What is wrong with that, Sheil?
Because I'm thinking that is a family business. And it does look to some of your members in your party like a threat that if they dissent, they go to prison.
Well, there's no prison. I have no power to send anybody to prison. The court has such powers. But the point remains that if you want to foment trouble in a state by either causing violence in a family meeting or also taking laws into your house by staging a parallel Congress, that is going outside the law, and the law should take its course. That's simple, the meaning of what I said.
it does look like it's a popular opinion for consensus to hold in most of the states of the APC. It does look like maybe somehow it's not popular with some of the members of your party. I mean, in Ebonyi, you moved from the PDP to the APC. There are already some leaders in the party, so those who may not agree totally 100% with you. Is the consensus the best way to handle internal party elections?
Well, consensus could be described in many ways. You know, our own kind of consensus in Ebonyi State is to allow the local people, you know, to make inputs, which means that the definition of, you know, stakeholders of the world shouldn't necessarily be the same definition of the stakeholders at the local and state level. Don't forget that the people at the world level, the village heads, you know, the chiefs there and so on and so forth, are actually the owners of that locality where we're going to conduct election. So our agreement in Ebonyi State is that when the leaders meet, whether you carry these local people along or not, we must test it in the field. So if you bring up people that you say these are the popular people in a particular ward, we still have to go to the field and to ensure that actually what the leaders have done is acceptable to the masses. That's our own definition of consensus, Shehu.
Interesting. I mean, but the fear with some people will say, oh, consensus, but your constitution is very, what the constitution of APC said is very instructive. It says if one out of the groups or the parties in the party in a particular state dissent on the issue of consensus, then you have to go for real election. But for some people who are saying, no, we don't want consensus, let's test the popularity in the field. It then looks to some of them who have complained and who are speaking up that this is simply imposition.
Well, I wouldn't want to speak about other states. You know, I have enough trouble in my state, both in governance and making sure that I carry all the stakeholders along. So I've given you the vision of our own consensus that when leaders agree on consensus, we still have to go to the field so that those who are going to really carry out the election, you know, when it matters, you know, will be carried along.
You also quoted to have said that the caretaker committee of the APC is constitutional. But several senior lawyers have debated differently. They said the party might be headed for more legal troubles and the Supreme Court may have opened vistas of legal contest in the nearest future. What exactly did you mean when you said it's constitutional, the caretaker committee that is?
Well, sure, I'm a professional engineer. I'm not a lawyer, but we have a party constitution, and this constitution is not meant for lawyers alone. It's meant for all party members and non-party members. And if you go to, you know, section 13.4, subsection X, page 45 of our APC constitution, the same section, you know, subsection XVI, and, you know, section 18, page 71, you will find out, you know, from the constitution of the party where the caretaker committee or ad hoc committee or standing committees are mentioned variously. But let me quote one that is very interesting, where it says that the National Working Commission have the powers to set up, you know, ad hoc committee or committees where in their own judgment, they feel that there is a lacuna or vacancies in any of the party positions. And so that such people committee will carry out the functions, you know, of such, you know, office or vacancies. But let me also give you a further example that if you go to page 68 of the party constitution, it says that the day-to-day running of the party rests on the national secretary of the party. Now, in my executive council, sometimes I could take a job from the Ministry of Works, for example, and I set up an ESCO committee, you know, to do a particular work whose budget is in the Ministry of Works, for example. It does not make the commissioner who is heading that ESCO committee a commissioner of two ministries. It is the caretaker committee is a committee that is set up, to perform certain functions. They are not executive, committee to say, but they are a caretaker committee, just like every other committee of the party.
But Section 183 of the Nigerian Constitution, as amended, categorically said someone like you, an executive governor, cannot take up any tenure office or any paying job outside the office of the governor. And so you have at least 4 or 5 governors of the APC, 7 in the caretaker committee. Perhaps what has drawn the attention of the opposition, or in fact some members who are now worried about the state of affairs of the APC, is Governor Mai Mala Buni, whom they say maybe he has appended a signature to some papers relating to elections in the APC. And for some lawyers who have been watching this scenario play out, they say your party narrowly escaped losing Ondo State to the PDP.
So there's something I want you to understand so that you can, be able to defend this matter, properly. And the fact remains that what the governor of Yobe State, our caretaker committee chairman, is doing is a committee work. It's a caretaker committee work. And our constitution says that you will do this work as maybe delegated, for you to do it. And so there is no executive position being exercised by the governor, our chairman. It's not taking salaries. The day-to-day running of the party still rests. That is the executive, position, the day-to-day running of the party. In page 68 of the constitution of our party, it says it rests with the national secretary of the party. And this is very important. So you have to look at this work as a committee work, and that's what it is.
So, if you look at it right now, yesterday I had a conversation with a former legal advisor of the APC, who himself is a senior advocate of Nigeria. This is how he described the situation of the party. He said there is an implosion. First and foremost, for you who is a newcomer in the APC, are you worried maybe you've made a mistake by coming to the APC?
Sure, I'm too happy to be here. This is where I belong, and I'm too happy to be here. I'm worried that the party is so popular now, and my friends in PDP are all leaving PDP to APC. I'm just worried about that, and I'm pleading for those who have not crossed to, if possible, to remain. But this is a very good place. The APC is very democratic, very focused, and are doing very, very well. Every day we see a lot of PDP people crossing over. And I'm happy I took the lead. So I'm happy, very happy.
I understand that some of your friends are also planning to cross. Can you give us an idea of who those are?
Sure, it's a secret. We will not reveal the secret.
So, but it's true that some governors in the Southeast are also on their way to the APC.
Sure, it's a strategy and a secret. I will not reveal anything to you.
So when I asked Mr. Banire yesterday on the program, and I asked him about how the APC can get out of what, not only him has spoken about this, the Minister of State for Labor, Festus Keyamo, Babatunde Ogala, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, also a former legal advisor of the party. They are warning. These are Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and I've mentioned 3 of them. And they said, look, there is trouble waiting in the wings. They are not worried about now. They are worried about the nearest future, especially in 2023, why the PDP and other opposition parties can wait in a wing and scuttle everything that the APC has built. And I asked Mr. Banire that President Buhari and NEC gave APC a political solution to the quagmire it was in a few months ago, which birthed the coming of Governor Mai Mala Buni-led caretaker committee. And I asked him if there is an option of a political solution this time around. He said it's little too late. What's your view on that?
I don't believe there's a problem. With all due respect to senior advocate of Nigeria and senior lawyers, My interpretation of this is simply the constitution of the party. And the interpretation is that what Governor Buni is doing is a caretaker job. It's a committee set up by the party to do a particular job. And this is very important. And there is no any further definition about what a committee can do and what a committee cannot do. The day-to-day running of the party rests on the national secretary of the party, and of course, in the states and local government and the world. So this, our caretaker chairman is doing a committee work, and anybody can do a committee work. It is not an executive position, but the work he's doing is being directed to do A, B, C, D, and he has to do it. But when you talk about executive position, you now look at the day-to-day running of the party in page 68 of the Constitution of APC that rests upon the National Secretary. So this is my interpretation of it. Okay. And so there is no executive decision. And again, he's taking no salary. He's taking no allowances.
On a final note, this question has two layers. And maybe quickly you can help us with it before you go, Governor. One is that one of your grievances before you left the PDP is that your region doesn't look like it's well taken care of, and you are not at home with the way and manner things are. Just quickly, it does look like you are being well treated in APC, are you?
Very well treated. You see, in APC, we governors, we respect ourselves. Mr. President respects us. The party executives, they respect us. Things are discussed, very democratically discussed, and issues are agreed upon. There is no headmaster, there are no teachers, there are no pupils, so it's a give and take. And then, fairness and justice to party members, from the top to the bottom. So we're happy, and we're happy with the leadership of the caretaker chairman, the secretary, and all members of this committee that are doing very wonderful work. People are just worried because of the great work we're doing, and a lot of people are coming into AP. So they just feel that they can distract, the beautiful work that the chairman is doing. But I don't think it is possible, because the constitution of the party is very clear.
All right. Okay, this is on the final note, and perhaps quickly too, Governor, maybe in 20 seconds. The hope of the Southeast and the Igbos becoming a governor, a president of Nigeria in 2023, how bright is it in the APC? Is it guaranteed already? Just quick one.
It's in the hand of God.
But God is not a member of your party.
He is. He directs our face. He gives bread to every man. So our power belongs to God. So whatever thing we wish, we come through only through God. If God says yes, no one can say no.
Well, Governor Dave Umahi just suddenly turned spiritual with us this evening, but it's good to know God. It's good to serve God. But we were hoping and see whether truly the God of the PDP or the God of APC, which one will answer the prayers come 2023. Thank you so much, Governor Dave Umahi, for joining us tonight on the program. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We take a break now, and when we return, everyone, yet another leader of the APC will be joining us. Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. He joins us, and we get his views on the state of affairs of the APC. The party needs to move forward, but how will it? We hear the counsel of the governor. Thank you so much, everyone. Indeed, all power belongs to God. Well, on that note, let's begin again, everyone. We're staying with the APC World Congress and the aftermath. I'm now being joined by yet another leader of the APC, the governor of Nasarawa State, Governor Abdullahi Sule. He joins us from Lafia. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure listening to you at a very tough time, just like your party is. Well, let's perhaps begin. There's been a lot of discordant tunes and a lot of disagreements in your party. Some people will say that's natural for political party affairs, but this does not look like something that is usual. the fears of different people in your party that the party is in a dire situation, in a very deep crisis. What is your view on the ongoings?
Thank you very much, Shaun. You always talk about deep crisis. You know, I don't know where deep crises are. And I really don't know where it even started. Definitely not in the APC.
Your Excellency, Your Excellency, the problem is that
congresses, and we had wonderful congresses. Everything went very, very well for us here in Nasarawa State. We had a consensus arrangement, and everywhere everything went peacefully. At the national level, I've been hearing there are some few states, as usual, you know, some few states whether there are issues or no issues, you know, people will disagree because there are factions, because of the love for the party. You know, so many people are joining the party, so there are a lot of intra going on. You know, some people that want to take over and things like that. So, and yeah, we have had that. But as far as we are concerned, you know, here in Nasarawa, many states that I have as governors, everything went peacefully. So I'm really not aware of any.
Usually, when someone is swimming and is not has not realized that he's drowning just yet, might not see the crisis. But for some of us who are monitoring, and perhaps we have seen more than one dispensation of political party leadership, we can see and smell crisis from a distance. So when we report that there is crisis, sometimes, most all of it, 99% of the time, there is crisis. But politicians never agree that it's crisis. But give me a sense of what this means for the APC. I know it's a learning curve. The party is gradually learning a few things in this situation. But the issue of consensus has caused a lot of stir. If it's good for Nasarawa State, could it be a blanket, this blanket arrangement? Does it work for everybody? I'm not sure, but give us in on what your view is. Can the party have a blanket as sort of a way of dealing with this election across board?
You see, consensus is part of our constitution. Consensus is where every time you have an election, especially in our kind of environment in Africa, not just Nigeria, you know, some people who probably, you know, may lose the election will come up with so many other things. So consensus is a family arrangement, and our party is a family. So what the consensus is all about is saying that stakeholders get together, you know, look at the various people who qualify to vie for one office or the other, discuss with them, see how you can work it out. You know, and then, so that's consensus. So consensus is not necessarily forbidden everywhere around the world that you go into democracy. You know, consensus is an arrangement that is allowed. A lot of people might vie for an office, but they may find somebody that may be more qualified for that office, and they decide to actually step down for that. You know, and we have seen a lot of that in Nigeria from 1999 when we returned to democracy up to date. You know, that does not amount to crisis. Now, let me take you on, since you are not the one taking me on. I know that you are so worried. It's about this interpretation about the Ondo case, the judgment that happened in Ondo. The reason why I tell you I see no crisis is because people are referring to an issue that was not even discussed. This judgment is not even ready yet. Up till this moment, the judgment has not been written. Yet, we have somebody who just went on the social media and said, this might happen, this is the case, and now you said it's crisis that you are seeing, which we are not seeing. So you can see the kind of crisis you see, Shaun, that we can never see. Because we can't see any crisis when a judgment has not even been written yet. They have not written the judgment, they have not passed it, so we don't know the details. They're just giving the summary of it. And they say if A will have happened, then B will have been the case. But yet, it did not happen for us to know whether there was a case or not. Yet we are saying there is big crisis all over the APCs. That's why I'm telling you I don't see the crisis. But if you see it, tell me exactly what the crises are, and then maybe I will be able to address them.
Maybe I can convince you speaking law now. So let's start from the very top. The basis and the premise for the judgment in Ondo case, where we had the superior judgment of 4 justices and the dissenting judgment from 3 justices. is on the premise, the technicalities in which took the PDP candidate to court, from the appeal court to the Supreme Court, was the fact that the man who signed the nomination form from Mr. Akeredolu is a 7-sitting governor of a state. And according to Section 183 of the Nigerian Constitution, as amended, it does provide that if you are serving as a governor, you do not have the right to take up any paying job. That people interpret it that the governor is not getting salaries. But the question is, it's a paying job whether you agree to accept it or not. And so the argument now is that that might be a problem because the justices disagree on that note. The only point where they disagree on was the fact that Governor Mai Mala Buni was not joined in the case. And so the senior advocate of Nigeria's debate, the three of them that I started earlier on the program, their worry is that this might give the party a problem in 2023.
Okay, thank you very much. Now let's go back to the issue you brought about. The second part of the petition, let me take you even a little bit backwards to the petition by Jagede's lawyers, where they clearly stated that the caretaker committee chairman, being a governor, had no right to sign. You think they are stupid for them not to join him? If they had joined him in that case, the case would have been dead on arrival because of his own immunity. So they knew what they were doing. That's the reason why they didn't join him. Now, secondly, when you talk about a paid job, all of us governors, irrespective of the political party, definitely take one committee work or the other. And the reason why we take this committee work, today, for instance, I am the chairman of the Mass Mobilization Committee. Nobody is questioning that. Nobody pays me for that, of the party. I'm also, today, as I'm telling you, at the federal level, not even within the party, I'm the co-chair of the technical working group of the Poverty Reduction Committee, set up by the federal government. Nobody pays me for that. So if you say as a governor, you cannot take any caretaker job just because there is a section that was not even detailed as far as this report is concerned. Because if you go and look at the judgment, what they are saying is, the man was not joined. In the judgment, they didn't clearly go down to define whether he is wrong to have accepted that or not. Yet somebody sat down there and say, oh, if they had done that, and now by the time it gets to you, Sheun, you say it's a big crisis. Now you see the point I'm making. As far as the judgment is concerned, it didn't even address Section 183. It didn't say anything about that. It said you did not join the gentleman. And they knew the reason why they didn't join him, because if they had joined him, the petition would have been dead on arrival. That's why they didn't join him. So where are the crises? You see, this is the issue. The man is not paid for the job that he is doing. And that's the reason why we went around and carried on with all our jobs. Now, what most of the people are saying, I wish you have actually seen, you are saying a lot of SANs are written that well. A lot of SANs are also saying, that there is no case to answer. We shouldn't worry about that. So it's a debate of the SANs. I just had the governor of Ebonyi saying he's an engineer, just like I'm an engineer also. That we sat down there and we went through everything that these guys are saying. We keep reading the constitution of our party. We read the constitution of the country, the section 183 you are referring to, of 1999 constitution as amended. We read through that. We don't see the conflict. We just don't see it. But if other people are seeing it, others are also not seeing it. The same SANs like them, including the Attorney General of the Federation, and also all our SANs that we have as legal team of the party, they are saying we are not seeing it. And even those who are outside our party, they are also writing they are not seeing it. But I think some people just prefer to concentrate on those that are saying that there is a risk. What is the risk? I mean, life as a whole is about a risk. When you leave your office today, Sheun, you are going home, you are going to drive, you are taking a risk. So as far as we are concerned, life is about risk. Everywhere you go and however you take it. So that's our position as far as we are concerned in APC. We don't see a risk because there is none.
I think maybe what has happened is giving some people some troubles, what has happened in the recent past. So if you look at the case in Rivers State, your party was not even on the ballot. You look at what happened in Zamfara State, your party won the election. It was scuttled. You look at what happened also in Bayelsa State on the eve, on the day the man was supposed to be sworn in for legal reasons. All of these that I've mentioned in all these 3 states were based on legality. And your party lost those states based on legality. For some of these lawyers, they say it's a gamble. And they're advising that the party should err on the side of caution rather than go out and think that there is no problem. And they are giving options that look, quickly find an alternative to the Buni-led caretaker committee to resolve what might be a looming disaster waiting in the wings.
Well, you have mentioned about the one of the APC. You have not mentioned the one of the PDP. The party also won in some states, if you look at it, based on legalities. The party won in Imo based on legalities. The party, you can keep mentioning that. As I'm telling you, it goes both ways. Okay? So there is nothing wrong with that. But all these issues you are bringing, they are completely different from what we are talking about today. What we are talking about today wouldn't have come up at all if there was no judgment of the case in Ondo State. But those cases you are talking about, they came up with or without issue of Ondo State. So that's why I'm saying, and I'm not saying that we are not cautious. Immediately it happened to show how cautious we are. We had a meeting. We had several meetings. We invited several legal people. We asked them to look at it again. And I'm saying they look at it and they give their own interpretation. Let me tell you how we started. A minister serving in APC, came up with this. And he brought it out to show you how cautious we should be. It's a serving minister that brought it up. Though even if I was the minister, I wouldn't have brought it up to the level that it become a crisis like you are describing. Rather, as a minister, I will have taken that document straight to the other minister, a colleague of mine who is the Attorney General of the Federation, and say, this is my understanding. What do you think? And then by the time they understand it, then it can exploit. But I'm not blaming him. He probably has his reasons for doing what he did. I'm just telling you the way I will have approached. So now, coming back to the issues, they are completely different cases. You don't take apples and oranges and mix and say they are the same. No, the issue that we had clearly in Zamfara is completely different from the issue of Boni that we are having today. The issue we had, which APC actually won in Imo now and took over from PDP, is completely different from the case that we have in Ondo. So let's not mix them, but APC is very cautious. APC is very, very selective. We are very careful. Every time we hear something, we check. But we don't have to go on the pages of newspapers to the media and say we are checking, we are cautious, we are this. No, we do that quietly as a responsible party. That's the way it is.
So if you, just on a final note on this issue of legality and the fears of some of the members of your party, the judgment was 4-3. That means Mr. Akeredolu was lucky. And the fear is that your party may not be as lucky next time.
The party will have been luckier if he was joined. If he was joined in the issue, as I'm telling you, the day they took that case to the panel, they will have killed that matter there and then. We will have been luckier. Okay? So they were very careful by not joining Buni. And now the judgment is clearly that they did not join him. The judgment did not bring up the issue of Section 183 of the Constitution. It didn't say that. As I'm talking to you, up till this moment, the judgment has not even been written for us to know the details of the judgment, as I'm talking to you. Yet, some people have already, that has not yet been written, and have already huge crisis, explosion, and all those. So how do you reconcile our position at this thing? Yes, we are careful. Yes, we will do whatever needs to do to keep the party to do that. No doubt about it. We'll do that. The moment we see a situation like that, yes, we believe, understand it. Remember, it's also SAN. Our Minister of Works is also SAN. We have, in our party, and they are also checking. You think they want to go down the hole just because there is some interpretation that needs to be done. See, different people are given different interpretations. and let them do that. It's all about.
Okay, so let me leave that for a moment and go into the future for the APC. The party has started these world congresses. You're going next for the LG, then state, then the national convention if everything goes well. But the World Congress of Saturday does look like things are not okay. It might be okay in Nasarawa State, but in at least 15 states, if my count did not fail me, things did not go well. How do you hope that the party can resolve these major issues?
No, they will be resolved. The reason is that we have had situations telling you when a party is this popular, you are definitely in a crisis. Today, in some states, you know, what I mean that no opposition is because most of the key elements are in APC. So that kind of the opposition. So when you have a situation like that, there's going to be a lot of internal wranglings because people want. In our own state, even though you say Nasarawa's example, but in our own state today, previous governors, nearly all the senators, all the former members, all of them, they are all in the party and they keep returning every day. So when you have all these positions will try to see, since they want to make sure they have a stake in the party. And about the next election. And most of these states that you are, and I'll give you a good example like this, the Kwara. Okay? So in that, the problems of power tussle between the governor and some stakeholders. Like that, you are going to have this kind of crisis. So it is normal. And I don't see it as an explosion or big problem or huge crisis. Because in democracy, you have this all over. To do the best they can to see that they have some representation and they have some input and they have this. So but that's the way I see it. And it will, soon after the congresses and our convention, you will not hear any of this anymore because everybody will know.
Your case in Nasarawa State, Your Excellency, is typical of this political situation in several states that the APC is holding sway. So you have governors and you have former governors. You have at least one former governor in Nasarawa APC. And this contest, it is not written in your party constitution that a governor is the leader of the party. But from your own view, if you have your former principal, who is now a senator, who is the leader of the party in the state?
Engineer, governor of Nasarawa State remains the leader of the party. In every governor of that state is the leader of the party. There is no ambiguity, joke about it. There is nothing. So there may be former governors where they were the leaders of the party. Today, the leaders of the governors of the state, the leader of our party at the federal is President Buhari Yusefa. And this is their. Nobody argues that. Anywhere there are people arguing out of ignorance or out of greed. That's where we are.
And so perhaps this is going to lead me to a more critical question and a puzzle that a lot of the political parties in Nigeria will have to deal with in 2023. I know you, as a leader of the party, you are one of those who is canvassing for the leadership of the party, the national chairmanship position to go to the North Central. But what about the president, the role of the president? In your party, we've had President Buhari from the northwestern region of the country, who would have served 8 years by 2023. What, in your own view, will be fair and just in terms of zoning or in terms of rotation of power? Which region, from your own point of view, because I know you're a sincere and honest man, where do you think power should be rotated to in 2023?
I thought you already say I'm a change. You want to bribe me with that. I'm honest. I don't have a problem with that, Sheun. I think I have answered this and this is the third time I'm answering that to you, in fairness, I believe rotation, because I believe rotational presidency in Nigeria. I strongly believe in that. This is my view. It is not the view of the APC governors, it's just my view. I say that is because we have 3 senatorial zones. Just the 2 senatorial zones have 5 local each. Our own senatorial zone has many areas. Even in our own senatorial zone of Nasarawa North, the number in the 3 local government up to the number of voters alone in the other zone. So rotation, if it is just the most powerful take it all, I mean a governor today. So how can I of rotation and now go against it? So I'm doing it also to view, So we have the right person. The only thing I keep saying, have the right person, the right can not destroy our party. If we the first to support a Southern president, that I'm not hiding that. This is a reality. But anybody serious enough, competent, that will actually build up, take over from our president, then definitely I will support a president from the North. Otherwise my preference will be somebody from the South, who has to take over and do the good job that the president, as I'm actually seeking for, so that if the national chairman is from the North Central, president is from the South, the equation is, to understand my argument. You can help me to.
Governor Abdullahi Sule, Executive Governor of Nasarawa, said, it's always a pleasure, but I must sincerely thank you for creating time tonight. I know it's a tight one before you agreed to come on tonight, but thank you so much indeed for coming on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it. So let's close now, and apologies for keeping you this time. But in 30 seconds, are you planning any disciplinary measure on Lagos for Lagos group or Mr. Jide Adediran? Because it does look like the leadership of the party have come out to speak strongly about that position he held yesterday.
Well, it is very clear that it's advisable at this point in time for all of them to fall in line with the party's position. Party discipline is very germane in democratic politics. And I will also say that whatever their issues might be can be amicably resolved rather than resorting to social media and putting wrong information in the public space. That will not be good for us as a party. So I want to use the opportunity to invite them back home.
Thank you so much, really, Mr. Ladejo, for coming on tonight, the APC National Publicity Secretary in Lagos. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Akim Ale. Bye for now.